Hi guys, Naya here. Welcome to the second episode of my dungeon playthroughs. In this episode I will show you a T4 dungeon and I will be wearing a tier 3 armor. Once you have played enough earned enough fame with your tier 2 equipment, you will be able to wear the next tier, the tier 3. Let me show you on the Destiny board. The left side is combat oriented. Of course you have started and got the trainee fighter node. Once you have fought with tier 2 equipment, you might have gotten the journeyman mage, cloth armor fighter, hunter, leather armor fighter, warrior or plate armor fighter nodes. These enable you to wear tier 3 equipment. The armor equipment is pretty much the same as the tier 2, just a bit stronger. The weapons, however, are enabled by the journeyman warrior, hunter and mage nodes. For example, the journeyman warrior enables you to wear 5 different weapons and the next tier of shield. For this dungeon I have prepared myself a set consisting of the journeyman soldier helmet, in which I will use the duration of my crowd control effects passive, and the stone skin passive spell. The journeyman soldier armor has again the spirit crush debuff, and I will also use the authority, so my crowd control effects will last longer, and the fury spell. The boots now offer the same max load increase or toughness. Since in combat the load is irrelevant, I will use the defense node. And there are 2 spells for the boots, for the shoes. There's the Wanderlust, which is simply increasing my movement speed. I have used this to get in here, and in the dungeon I will use the rejuvenating sprint to get out of danger. I also have the journeyman's cape, which is a little bit stronger, increases my energy and energy regeneration, and for a change I have decided to use the journeyman quarterstaff. This staff was enabled by me by leveling the hunter node. So you use the tier 2 bow and you get access to several tier 3 hunter weapons. The quarterstaff is melee weapon, of course, but it behaves a bit differently from other weapons. I have already enabled multiple passives and multiple spells, but I will use the first one, the stunning strike, so that every 5 normal attacks I will get a stun on my next attack. The Q spell for staves is by default the concussive blow, which deals physical damage, applies a concussive blow charge on me, and once I have 2, so the third cast of this ability, will stun the enemy. This makes staves a somewhat good weapon for tanks, for prevention of damage. The second ability is going to be Empowered Slam, which deals some damage in a radius, so in an area, and it has also secondary active that purges any shields active on the target. This ability isn't very used in PvE, in dungeons, so the staves are naturally leaning towards PvP weapons. The third spell is Vault Leap. This one is interesting because it is a mobility spell, so it moves me to another location and deals damage and throws enemies hit into the air. So I have passive, which stuns, does crowd control. I have my Q ability, which stuns. My W ability simply does damage. And my E also applies crowd control. This is why I have chosen the passive authority, which increases duration of my crowd control effects, so that these stuns and knockups will last longer and I don't have to take as much damage. In Albion Online you can combine any weapon, any armor, and, well, other items you can use. You are not limited to wearing all the soldier armor and with the respective weapons. The Journeyman Hunter node has enabled us to wear the quarterstaff along with the better bow, dagger, nature staff, spear, and the torch as an offhand. Since the staff is a two-handed weapon, I will not be able to use an offhand. Alright, let's get in. This one is interesting. This is a loading screen for a Morgana dungeon. There are 4 types of enemies in Albion Online by default in the randomized dungeons. The first one were the heretics, which we have fought in the first episode. The tougher ones are the undead, then the keepers, and the Morgana enemies are probably the strongest ones. So I have crossed this bridge and will begin attacking. We are greeted by some lovely mobs at the entrance, which are quickly dealt with. Now, the Morgana enemies consist of low enemies, which are the squires and the acolyte, and then the basic ones. For example, caster ones, and well, there is a pikeman, there is a ranger. And we have dealt with the caster here. She has summoned demons. Demons is kind of theme with the Morgana mobs, especially with the summoners. The crossbowman here is jumping away from me, placing a trap, and then he starts dealing damage in an area which is easy to avoid, but it's slow. Once you are caught in, you are going to take several hits of his damage. So it is important to avoid getting hit altogether by running out of the telegraphed area. The footman uses slash, which would deal damage and probably slow me, and he also deals damage in a circle, which I have stunned and interrupted him. It is important to know the abilities when fighting multiple enemies at once. So for example, here is a squire, which is not really dangerous, he's just auto-attacking. There's a cultist and another cultist. I will leave them for later and deal with this crossbowman first. The frequent stuns are very helpful by wearing the plate armor and also the staff itself. They are mitigating a lot of damage and interrupting spellcasting, of course. Okay, both of the cultists have spawned imps, demons, which will try to attack me, and once they are either defeated or their master dies, they will deal damage in a circle, so avoid this one. This can be somewhat heavy damage. This room is full of small enemies. The easiest ones are these bats, which unfortunately take 2 hits or 1 hit. And while it is not seen, you can see here, as the outline by another different alpha shows us, there is another enemy. It's the animated tombs. This can deal considerable damage because they are calling enemies from all over the place. It is useful to gather them on one point and then use a single ability. Since they don't have much damage, much health, you can deal with them with one strike. Okay, there is the summoned demon, molten demon. I will wait until he leaves this area and go after this right part. The conjurer is not summoning demons, she is creating a damaging area, which I accidentally interrupted all the time. Okay, here is Infestor, which is a different caster. Now she has tried to cast a summoned flock of ravens, which would knock me back, so I will have a tough time getting back. Once again, I will wait for the demon to leave, so I don't fight too many enemies at once. The speed in which the circles expand is coincidentally about the same as the normal running speed. So if you notice this in time and you have a good ping, of course, to the servers, you are able to outrun the explosion easily, I must say. Okay, now I feel ready to find the molten demon, but first I take this shrine. Get a bonus, which will heal me and make this fight simple. Okay, the molten demon has a pool of lava under him, so if he moves too close to you, he will spawn the lava under you and it will do damage. It is good to keep moving or stand in a good direction, and he will knock me back actually, with his how is it called? Molten Trail, Demon's Punch ability. Now I was hit by his Whirlwind's ability, but I don't care because I have this buff which regenerates health quickly. Okay, the next pack is a Raven, a Footman, and a Knight. The Knight is tanky and doesn't deal much damage, so I can ignore him for now. The Footman will deal moderate damage, and the Raven, once damaged, he creates a large zone of which will fear me once it is set up, so I will try to outrun that ability first. Let me jump in and hit. I was hit by the Footman. I will enable my rage ability defense, and I have been stunned by the knight. He also gets an enrage ability, but it is weaker version of what I get. Okay, this pack is down, and now we are seeing stairs. These will lead us to the next level of this dungeon. Once you are further from the city, for example, here I have traveled from Bridgewater to the Dry Water Meadow. This is two areas from the city. It is probable that the dungeon will have multiple levels. The close ones I have noticed usually have one only. So if you prefer longer dungeons with more loot, because there wasn't any boss in the first floor, so it has more chances for having bosses and chests and loot. If you prefer longer dungeons, then you should run outside of the city. Okay, I should have seen the modifier up here. Once it reaches 5, the next attack, or 4, the fifth attack will stun the enemy. So I can track that. In a group scenario it is pretty difficult, but when playing solo it shouldn't be a problem. There are 3 squires and a cultist. So I will pop this and deal with the squires. They're not dangerous. Crossbowman is a different story. Alright, now I will pause for a moment to heal up. Now that I am at full strength, I can fight again. I could also swap out the R ability and heal that way, but it will put all my abilities on 10 seconds cooldown, so I will prefer not to do that. Okay, now I have reached this area where there's a raven. The dungeon continues this way up here. However, this raven signifies that there is a side boss in this building, probably. So let's check out what this is about. There are a lot of acolytes. Sometimes it doesn't translate well, and I have been stunned by an ability while escaping its range. Okay, there are 4 acolytes, and my area of effect abilities have dealt with them very quickly. If I were to auto attack them one at a time, that would take some time. Now 2 squires and a cultist. And I am very happy because there is a boss out there. The E ability usually costs a lot of energy, so more often you use it, the more energy you will lose. And as you can see, in plate armor it doesn't go up very quickly. However, if I was wearing clothes, it would be very fast. Now the boss here is the Morgana Archfiend. I will go around and look what chest is he guarding. A purple one, which means this will be a tough fight. Let's go into it. I don't think he will have any shields or abilities, so I will use Empowered Slam on cooldown. I will use Vault Leap to get out of dangerous areas, but it takes time. It has cast time of 7/10 of a second, so it's not a quick one. I will probably use Rejuvenating Sprint more. I will use Concussive Blow on cooldown and get as many stuns as I can. The Archfiend is a melee warrior, but he will use area abilities against me, so I will have to run around a lot. Let's do this. Goes Slam. Now this one is dangerous. These are spikes from the ground, and now he has hooked me up and pulled close to him. Oh no, I was hit. I will have to avoid this by falling rocks. Also being pulled, he has summoned a Fiery area, and he's getting tired, so I don't have enough energy for this. I cannot vault out of range, and I died. Alright. To say that I didn't actually die, I was knocked up, because you cannot die to minions, to monsters, or to bosses. In PvE you generally cannot die, in real. So the penalty was the time I have lost, and durability of my GR. I have died twice, so each time I die, 5% durability will go down, and I will have to repair this equipment later. Alright, I will wait a little longer for my mana, my energy to regenerate, because I have seen that Vault Leaping around takes a lot of energy, and the Empowered Slam as well. I'm better prepared and will dodge all of his abilities. Unfortunately, the stuns against him did nothing, and I will try to not outrun him out, so he has no reason to pull me back. See, he always resists my stuns. Vault Leap. Go! Oh, that was very close. I died again, and will wait. I am back alive, regenerating my mana, my energy. This silver that is on the floor is not my silver, it is just something that I get from the system for repairs. It's not much, but it's worth picking up. Let's kill him. This run goes much better. I was hit by a stone and he has healed a bit. And killed again. Well, I will edit this anyway out. If you fail multiple times, don't be afraid to change up your equipment a bit. As I have seen, there is no crowd control effect on him, so I will use the defense instead. Defense, yes. So I'll try to take less damage from him and also avoid all the abilities, which I didn't this time. This is for defense and here I go. Of course, it would be beneficial to also swap out the passive on the weapon, but since the starters don't have access to any other passive, and the first one, I will not do that. Looks promising, and finally, after multiple attempts, the boss is down. And I get access to this beautiful chest, which contains 10 expert runes and beginner's bag of silver. So I will swap out my abilities back. These runes are used for artifacts to melt artifacts and also enchant equipment of tier 5. Getting 10 of them is quite a payout for a tier 4 dungeon, so that was a good one. Okay, we are down from the ramparts, and these two crossbowmen are no match, because I know what they are capable of. Okay, this room is a square, and I can go either way. But wait for the many patrols here, so I would like to fight this pikeman alone, or I could fight this molten demon, but be aware of his knockback, so position yourself well. Against the wall or into empty region, but beware because he can knock you out. So if I were standing here and he always knocked me back into this corridor, I would reset the encounter. But I can control the mob's movement by pulling them into areas which are not dangerous for me. There's a shrine on the side. These square areas often have them. And it seems that I am out of energy again. This happens often with melee fighters which are wearing armor, plate armor, while also using weapons that are energy heavy. Let's check what is this shrine about. Well, reflect damage and heal me again. So, this one is pretty cool, I can fight more. I will try to kill as many mobs as I can in this dungeon. Of course, you could speedrun it and ignore this side. I just choose not to. Okay, there is a demonic tomb right here. I don't want to anger the tombs right now because there is a molten demon. As I said earlier, the Morgana dungeons are probably the toughest of the 4 types because of many different area of effect damage abilities that fire on you, and the bosses are also somewhat difficult. And it looks like we are at the end. And I'm glad because I got an easier boss, not the tough one. But the payout will be less. The point is, one never knows. I'm using a lot of energy now, and we'll probably swap out the defense for some time for a regeneration, because we are at the end boss. This is the Morgana Magistra. It's a stronger version of these cultists. I think, yes, of the cultists. There are sometimes multiple enemies in the boss area, and once I engage the final boss, they will also be called, and I want to avoid it, so let's just fight them one at a time. I should not touch the chest because this will anger the boss and his mobs here. Regenerating the energy in mid-combat is possible, but I would need to channel it, so I prefer to take the defense, as the Morgana Magistra will also conjure zones of damage. No, that is actually a different boss. This one will just deal damage in an area, small circle, which is easy to outrun, and she will summon a spiked demon, one that was summoned by the book, which is somewhat stronger, and she will empower him. So I will have to use my area of effect abilities, for example the Empowered Slam, to deal with them both at the same time, so I will maximize my damage. And when the demon explodes on death, I have to run out. Fairly simple. Let's try it out. I have used the Empowered Slam incorrectly. Okay, she is now empowering him and deals more damage to me. While he has a demon, she will empower that one. If she doesn't, she will summon another one. And she can also summon 2 at a time, so they will keep on coming if I don't deal with them. But I was successful and the dungeon is complete. Let's open the final chest. Another runes, relics, which are very similar to the runes, but better. They also give different items when turned in and are used for the 3rd enchantment, and the runes are for the first one. I have also found Tire for Broadsword, which is great, and outstanding Tomb of Spells. I will take it and use it in my next gameplay. The side boss was actually tougher than this final boss here, which was exciting. Alright, let's get back to the town. Goodbye everyone, see you at the next dungeon. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please comment and like. Thank you for watching.